Let's see. So, Maxwell, I'm ready if you are. Ready?
All right, yeah. All right, everybody. Welcome. We are here to celebrate Doors Ajar's fall reading event and all of the wonderful contributors who took place as part of our fall issue. We have 12 contributors here tonight who will be reading their poems and stories, and really excited to hear everyone share their work in their own words. I'll throw it back to Dominique.
Well, hello again and welcome. We couldn't be more excited about you being here to be joined by some of our amazing contributors. We're going to go ahead and kick it off, and we'll hear from Rachael, Nat, then David. Rachael, take it away.
Thank you. My name is Rachael Lutwick-Deaner, and I'm reading my piece, Things I've Lost. Things I've lost. My grandmother's diamond earring down the sink. Within a week of getting them, keys to my new office. Mitten after mitten after mitten. Shopping lists in the middle of the grocery store, causing me to abandon cart. My temper, receipts for things that needed and then couldn't be returned. My tooth fairy money stashed in the bowels of a stuffed bear and then forgotten. My child. It comes back to me in the most surprising ways. The day will be bright and clear like it was then. The street will be empty and I cast a glance down the long sidewalk. No one coming. I'll wonder for a moment where my now grown girl might be at this moment in time. And I'm immediately back in 2010 when my mother hosted that party for all of our relatives to meet the new baby, when a well-meaning relative took my 6-year-old daughter for a walk without telling me when I couldn't find her. I raced around the house looking in every corner, behind every door, and she was gone, nowhere, and my husband was too distracted to tell me that the well-meaning relative had taken our child for that well-meaning walk. And then I was outside on the front lawn calling her name, my voice desperate and already sick with grief. I screamed her name with the force of every mother who has ever lost a child for a minute, for a lifetime, and I screamed it again and again, as if the vibrations of my vocal cords could compel whatever stranger had snatched her off the street to return her to me. I screamed her name in a way that sent everyone at the house running outside to me, but I was alone at that moment. Every blade of grass, a sharpened knife, cutting my feet and ankles, punishing me for losing my child, the worst kind of mother laid bare in front of everyone. And days go by, hours, minutes, seconds later, she is returned to me by that well-meaning relative whose eyes I will not meet, to whom I will not speak. My child does not know the pain and the fury I feel, and she will not know because it was I who lost her, I who should have shut the gate. And suddenly I am not the mother on the news asking for the return of her child, not the mother in the article online who is beside herself, the mother who is whispered about at the school, at the library, the one whose daughter was lost. Instead, I am the mother who must surely be suffering some kind of psychosis, who lost her mind as her child was just out of her sight for a moment. And why didn't she confer with her spouse? Because that well-meaning relative, yes, she's so well-meaning, did ask if she could take her for a walk. Things I've lost. My voice, time after time, as I'm a screamer when provoked. Friends, over time, over distance. Documents to the clutter of my Google Drive. My nerve at meetings where I should have spoken up. My mind. Definitely my mind. Thank you.
All right. Hi, folks. My name's Nat Raum. I'm reading my piece from the magazine titled A Real Nail Biter. Crooked teeth pierce thumbnails, rip them from swelling fingertips, and even when I stop biting, I cannot stand any trace of white-tipped free edge scratching my skin. Call it habit or call it instinct, I suppose, for the day I find myself as a unicorn. Pointer finger and middle fingers, how shall we say, occupied by the feminine side of the Y behind this threesome. One thing is for certain. After this, I am absolutely certain.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm David Colodney, coming from very rainy Boynton Beach, Florida. And thanks to everybody for being here, and thanks to Maxwell for always treating my work really with respect. I'm going to read one of the poems that I had in the issue. It's called Ampersand, but it's actually not the word spelled out. It's the symbol, kind of like Prince back in the day. Ampersand. You remind me of an ampersand, bent and twisted like a palm tree in a hurricane, and roots pliantly planted in earth. Some days you don't notice which way is up, some nights down. Tell me, my friend, what's in your head? September's wind as hard as sapphire blowing through your veins, or conjunctions taking the place of blood like contradictions as you tilt from day to day your own way. Sometimes you're more G-clef, an ampersand with rhythm and style, but balancing the same to the untrained eye. You know rain dissipates when the sun returns, and you know April's a bright month when you welcome new life, spring births and rebirths, and fresh dollops of air, seedlings and saplings greening and breathing. I blow seeds of hope from my cupped hands into your landscape of grammar and song, and pray they don't fly past you. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to take over again for a minute and tell everyone about our subscriptions. There are a few different ways you can subscribe. We have print subscriptions, where you get 4 beautiful print editions mailed to your house every year and get full access to our digital archive. Or you can get a digital subscription where you have full access to our digital archive. We also have gift subscriptions as well. And I will put links to all of those in the chat right now. All right. And back to you, Dominique, for our next batch of readers.
Thank you so much, Maxwell. We're excited about our next group of readers. We'll be hearing from Adrienne, followed by Jason, Alex, then Rachel. Adrienne. And Adrienne, I believe you're muted.
Hi, sorry for jumping the gun and not having my mic. I'm Adrienne Unger, and I'm going to be reading a piece of flash fiction called Photographic Memory. They were holding hands, not like lovers with fingers bloomed together, bold and blatant. Their grasp was delicate, absent-minded, and familiar, the touch of a bonded pair. The wife looked past her husband's face before the shutter clicked. Possibly she felt the gaze of the husband's camera trapping her in the upper corner of the frame, but both their faces, frozen in the amber of the day, said nothing. The action had been in the middle of the shot, all their children from both families mugging for the photographer. The oldest was barely 10 back then, followed by the twins and their sister still in diapers, and the rough and tumble siblings from next door. There was so much goofy light, so much joy that day. It was so easy to miss, except when it wasn't. The moment when her husband angled his lens towards Sam, and their tangled brood to snag a candid photo of a perfect day. When she was still his sweetheart, Sam was still his best friend. The kids were happy and they were all content. The sound of the door slamming behind his wife was still hanging in the foyer. The thud of her trunk closing, the pop of her wheels rolling over their pebbled driveway replayed in his ears when the husband turned to that hung photo in hopes of anchoring himself to a flat reality where the world he knew made sense. But the light was different then. Before, her husband only glanced at the picture. Sometimes he was compelled to tap the corner of the silver frame like a blessing. But tonight, after looking at it over and over and over again, it became clear to him the confirmation he was looking for rested in those holding hands. Now he knew it was always there. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason, and I'm going to read my short poem named Awaken in the Night. In the wreckage of my shattered dreams, where hopes once bloomed, now silence screams. Amidst the ruin, a whispering light, guide me through the depths of an endless night. From a broken piece, a phoenix arises, embracing scars of soul prizes. Through the ashes, a new fire burns. In pain and beauty, my spirit learns. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Alex Gurtis, and I'm so excited to be reading with you all tonight. I'll be sharing my piece, Wedding Photos. My biological father is missing. He is always missing. Standing in for half of my genetic makeup, absence is a dying grandmother. The memory of a father lives in wilting cheekbones. Hugging my paternal grandmother on my wedding day, my wife and I snap a photo. It is the same photo I will reference 5 months later in a honeymoon car ride through the badlands of the American Southwest after learning my grandma slipped into a coma. Composition contextualizes a relationship between the mountains and the beach. The afternoon of our wedding, my wife and I stand beneath sand dunes, and I think about how they mediate a storm and how much land the ocean can swallow like a gulp of champagne. Later that afternoon, my grandmother stands at the edge, shaded by a sea grape tree, in what will become a framed family photo. Her face, and my father's face, my face, triangulate a woman in a pair of wedding rings. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Rachael Inciarte, and I will be reading my poem, Cutting Teeth. Cutting Teeth. If ever I need space, I can yawn, open the wide chasm of my throat and look to see how my mouth is riddled with holes. Teeth rotten to the root and enamel worn thin from bitten off bitterness, nerves that throb like red lights. You can blame the sugar lust or the mallow of my bone refusing to set, a brittle crust over soft pulp. I've been forever feeling like I'm cutting teeth, gnawing at what I can reach, punch of tooth on tongue, taste of blood on gum. At 8, my adult teeth were forming fangs, so it was the file for me, the flavor of drills and odor of burning bone, which didn't stop me from snapping a bite of girl on the bus, but they said mouths can be brutal in other ways. And as my own children's gums raked flesh, bruises bloomed even before the blade. While nursing them, I gaped. It was easy to see down the hatch, come loose inside the maw of their never-ending need. The dentist points out weak spots in their teeth, formed years ago, while the growing bones spun like candy floss in the jaw. I let her paint sealants on for strength and scrape clean the surface, adjust their bites. More than most, I know mouths are a multi-tool and how we yearn to sink our teeth in. Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to take over just for a minute and just let everyone know that our submissions are still free and open all year long. We're always looking for quality poetry, short fiction, nonfiction, art, drama, and now we are taking in book reviews. And I will put in a link to that in the chat. All right, and now back to Dominique.
Thank you so much, Max. Now we're going to hear from Amanda, Allison, and Ryan. Amanda, take it away.
Thank you. I'm Amanda. I'll be reading from my piece, Difficult Epochs. Somewhere in the vast, grassy expanse of the Mongolian-Manchurian steppe, I quit. I give up. I stop walking, throw down my pack, my wooden atlatl, my spear, and I sit down. I'm done. My tribe doesn't notice at first. We had been walking. We were always walking, had always been walking, sometimes forgot what it was like not to walk. They carry on for a few more yards before one of the children, Kevin, notices I've stopped. He shouts at the others, waves to them, then turns back to me. Hey, you okay? He calls. No, I say. I'm done. Of course, none of us actually know the name of these endless rolling plains. Mongolia is a concept that won't exist for another 8,000 years. Kevin's name isn't really Kevin either. Kevin won't be recorded as a name for another 11,000 years. And when it is, it will be a long, long way from here. And this language I'm speaking, it doesn't exist yet either. There is no name for the language I speak. There is no way of telling you Kevin's true name, or mine, or anyone's. He says he's done, Kevin shouts to the others. They've stopped now, I can see. They're looking back and forth. Brian, whose name is not Brian, says something to his adult daughter, Pamela, whose name is not Pamela. I don't know what he says to her. I can't hear it, but she jogs back to me. Pamela is the only woman who is not pregnant or lugging around an infant. She crosses her arms when she gets to where I'm sitting, a gesture that thousands of years from now will denote exasperation. What do you mean you're done, she says. She's annoyed. She's sick of having to do all the grunt work just because she doesn't have an infant strapped to her back. She's annoyed with me for creating more work for her. I'm sick of walking. She looks around. Above us, a dome of pale sky. Beneath us, long grass waves goodbye in the gentle breeze. It's quiet out here on the plains of a place that will one day be called Mongolia. What on earth are you talking about, she says, a phrase that no one will use until the 20th century. I sigh. I don't know how to explain. I'm hungry, tired, covered in flea bites. I have parasites. My feet hurt, my back hurts. I probably have arthritis in my knees and feet. I'm no spring chicken, as they don't yet say. I don't know when my birthday is, or what a birthday is, or how many days there are in a year, or what a year is, or how many of them I'd even seen. But if I did know all of those things, I'd know I was in my mid-30s. Not as old as Brian, not Brian, who fed me bits of charred deer meat when I was little, or wizened old Pat, not Pat, who is stooped and wrinkly and in charge, but certainly older than all the others. This is a difficult epoch, I tell Pamela. It's a difficult time to be a human. The scenery, it all looks the same. It has for 1,000 miles. I don't know what a mile is, she said, but we've walked more than 1,000 of them and you've been fine. Why now? We can't just leave you here. I look down at my knees, two knobs behind which the grassland spreads. One day, our descendants will tame the packs of wild horses that graze here, climb on their backs and let them do the dirty work. Not today, though. Not tomorrow either, or the day after that. Can't we be done with this? Can't we invent agricultural practices and pivot to a sedentary lifestyle instead of all this walking? Can't we invent houses already and soap and hot water and electricity and television and internet? Can't we have mattresses made of artificial foam wrapped in cotton blend sheets with pillows that need to be changed every 18 to 24 months for sanitary reasons? Microwave pizzas, canned sodas, sugar-free chewing gum, and how about ibuprofen? Advil? I could really use some. What's ibuprofen? Pam asked. I looked down at my atlatl lying in the grass. It looks strangely elegant against the green. My pack, reindeer leather wrapped with cords, lies beside it. When the cool wind blows, it tastes absolutely fresh, not a trace of diesel, of car exhaust, of cigarette smoke. There's no noise whatsoever, no distant roar of planes overhead, no traffic quietly humming, no electricity coursing through buildings. At night, the sky is perfectly clear, nothing but stars, uncluttered by blinking satellites. There is no such thing as microplastics, and at the poles, our ice caps remain healthy, intact, and completely predictable. Our world is wild. Our future stretches before us like the grassy Mongolian plains. I sigh deeply from the very bottom of my very human heart. Okay, I say, okay, you're right. Forget microwave pizzas. I'm coming. Pamela helps me to my feet. I rejoin the others and we keep walking, arthritis and fleas and all. No number exists to count the miles we walk, and the landscape never changes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Walters-Luther, and thank you all so much for being here today. I'm going to be reading one of my pieces from this issue. It's called Last Conversation. Words dripping, love, lies, blame, hate, like poison, you, her, me, us. From your lips, eyes, heart, mask, while I cry, break, leave, live. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ryan McCarty, and I'm going to be reading one of my poems from the issue, Two of the Only Honest Dimes. Hiking to the bus stop, under a no parking sign, a Porsche. With one ear to the ground, his bag of empties stashed close by, a man, one arm stretched deep into the shadow of the car, straining, a clink of glass. Two empty bottles rolled under there, he can almost reach. A promise America never fails to keep, to paint its own portrait every day. My brother, I called a tow truck. Stand here with me. When they pull this thing away, you won't have to bend one knee to earn those bottles. We decide then and there to become snowmen, covered over one whole season, waiting to thaw, holding hands like two children, checking till it's safe to cross over to the sunny side of the road. Thanks.
All right. It's really great reading so far, guys. We're almost to the home stretch. I just wanted to let everyone know about some of our upcoming events. The next big one we have is the Brooklyn Book Fest. It's a free event, so if you're in the New York City area at the end of September, it's September 29th. Please come through. And then the next week will be at Dobbs Ferry Festa up in Dobbs Ferry, New York. And the only other major event we'll have this year will be for the winter reading event for our winter contributors, and that'll be in December. But we have all of that up on our events page, and I will share that in the chat now. And back to you, Dominique.
Thank you so much, Max. As we go down the final stretch, we have a few more amazing readers. AJ, Doug, and Molly. AJ, take it away.
Hi, I'm AJ O'Reilly, and I'm going to read one of two flash nonfiction pieces in this issue. This one is called When the Moon Hits. You know how sometimes you look up at the moon and you think, gosh, it must be a full moon tonight. Look at how big and round that is. I mean, it's totally round, right? It's got to be full. If it's not full, I can't even tell what part is missing. And it would be obvious, right? Wouldn't there be some corner that's just clearly filed down a little from the rest of the roundness? And I'd be able to point to it and say, that's the missing piece, right? Because when something's missing, you can tell what it is. Yeah, no, it's a full moon tonight. It has to be a full moon. I've seen many moons, and if this weren't full, I would recognize it. I know what I'm looking for. I'm sure it's full. Yes, what a nice moon. And then the next night, when it really is a full moon, how you simply inhale and say, wow, it's a full moon. It's like that, but with love.
Hey there, my name's Doug Hoekstra, and it's good to be here with everybody and their fine work. And I wanted to thank you, Maxwell, for having me and all the hard work that goes into putting this out, which I imagine is not easy, but rewarding. So thank you. Thank you on behalf of all of us. This one's called Coin Laundry. 24-hour coin laundry across the street from a deco bank, holding fast against the crane. Sipping dark coffee, a man and his wife and two children walk through the front door of the cafe, ringing bells, holding phones. A warm breeze blowing from the Gulf, bending trees lightly in its wake. Scattered through concrete forests, sidewalks, parking lots swinging to and fro in motion. Wearing a baseball cap, golf shirt, and shorts, a sailor without a sea, doom scrolling as his wife orders for them all, smoothing her one-piece dress lightly, with grace. Silver bracelet and hoop earrings put together well, if only for the time to spend, on a quiet afternoon in a little hipster cafe they used to frequent when they were young, in the days before the days.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly Harris. I'm going to be reading my flash fiction piece. Years later, there will be a class action lawsuit regarding radiation exposure. The moon reaches up to the sun. Frankie sees it in its full glory from its base, how the silver rocks glitter in the light, burning her eyes. She looks down to the harsh blacktop of the parking lot. 2 laps, one up, one down. Frankie and the rest of the sophomore class at Francis Howell Central groan. The steps to the moon are wide, steps and a half, made of a soft gravel that easily comes loose. Most kids have tripped on them once or twice before, Frankie included. She'd stumbled to the bottom, covered in the white gravel powder and blood from her scraped knees and elbows. When she looks down to her white PE shirt now, she can still see the faint blood stains her mother couldn't scrub off. Frankie pulls at them. "What are you waiting for? Start running." Frankie pulls her hair into a ponytail. The thin, mouse-brown strands pull her face taut, skin scratching up towards the band. She has a scar that reaches from her temple down to the bottom of her chin from an accident when she was little, but she never thought to hide it. She doesn't hide her bruises either, how they litter her long legs. She doesn't remember how she got them after nights of drinking, but she wears them with a sense of pride. Frankie looks at the ground beneath her, and she starts her ascent to the top. The sun beats down on Frankie and her classmates, her gym shorts cling to her legs, shining white in the light from the sweat, bruises shining like pools of gasoline. Her cads, grass-stained and dusty, slip on gravel, and Frankie grabs the rail for support. She looks out across the surface of the rocks, a variety of sizes but all white. A small brown sign issued by the U.S. government says to stay off of them, to stay on the path. Frankie spits and continues up. At the top, Frankie hardly catches a breath. Her baby hair sticks to her forehead, and she loops her ponytail into a small, unkept bun. The moon powder covers her clothes, weaves itself into her hair, buries itself under her fingernails. Looking around, her class looks like ghosts. Heavy breathing, tired specters, casted in white plaster. Frankie sits down. She feels the powder between her fingers. She lies back on her arms, stares at the sky. The blue is painful and bright. Translucent floaters drift in and out of her periphery. The moon was new to her hometown, the now highest point in St. Charles County. It towers 75 feet high. Underneath it was 12,000 cubic tons of nuclear waste. Frankie hadn't known what a Superfund site was until her mother had told her when she was going to go work on one, when Frankie and her sister were younger. Her mother spoke of uranium, thorium, and radium. At 8, Frankie didn't understand much of it, and at 15, Frankie still doesn't know if she's being honest. She smoked weed on top of the moon, drank her first beer on the moon. Every Friday is moon day for PE. The stairs are good for you, rigorous, will really get those legs moving. Frankie hears the whistle from down below and sees the speck of her PE teacher. She's a dawdler, always has been. She knows she needs to come down. Covered in white powder, she starts her climb back down to earth. The students look like an army of ghosts descending down to the living below. Thank you.
All right, and that is everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of the magazine, for sending us your great work, for participating tonight. Y'all did a great job. We will work on getting these up on YouTube ASAP, and we'll email everyone when that's ready to go. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us tonight.